Hello everyone, this is Princess Farron, and I am here to do a little reaction slash analysis to the new lore bomb actually that was released this dawn, at least according to my time zone. So let's check it out bit by bit and see what I think of it and what I can come up with in regards to this. So let's go. First, the animation style is like gorgeous. That's the first thing that caught my attention. Okay.
This world has always been so. Life abides no reason.
Okay, so here we have a lady reading stories. We don't know if they're real or just fictional about a world. And what caught my attention was that we have here like several young people, kind of like disciples or pupils that are listening to her and also have like their books open. So I thought about is this lady just like a random lady, or is she like a personification of M, the Exon Circle member who actually wrote stories and created worlds and characters that some of them eventually came to life, like Durin, the dragon, right? And but let's proceed a little further.
This world has always been so.
Seemed like almost like a blank page. Another idea I had about this is that maybe this lady or M, she's reading this story or telling this tale to young people. This reminded me of the orphanage that Khaenri'ahn used to have for the descenders, because they're all wearing the same sort of outfit, and the colors are pretty somber, so probably something that we would associate with an orphanage. So I remembered if this is actually supposed to represent that. M or another person in Khaenri'ahn telling the story of this world of Teyvat to the descenders. Tell me what you think. I think it makes some sense, right? That's
This world
idea.
has always been so. Life abides no reason, for none are born by their own.
I wasn't really expecting that we would be presented to all the shades. I mean, we've heard about them by name, and Renova sort of appeared, her eyes appeared in the sky for the first time in the Natlan Archon quest, but I wasn't expecting such a drop of lore, and definitely I wasn't expecting to meet the various shades. So yeah,
Consent.
this shade kind of reminds me. This is Naberius, right? The shade of lies, because she's saying she's talking about life. For none are born by their own consent, which is right. Nobody chooses to be born. But I don't know if you noticed, she kind of looks like Egeria, the Iron Archon. You know?
Their own consent. Death abides no reason,
Renova?
for it cannot be defied, even by those who see it coming.
But it was kind of defied by Capitano, right? He took Mahwika's place, and I don't think he's actually exactly that. I might be wrong, but yeah, I think that's not true. Okay, it's just my opinion.
Time abides no reason,
Istaroth.
for it deprives us all equally, yet brooks not a second to be reclaimed. Space abides no reason.
Asmoday, met. Just as we started the game, everyone met her.
The ruler of space stopped the golden-haired twin travelers and mercilessly tore them apart.
So the chains are separating them. This is actually, this animation, this stuff, I love that. There goes the tree of life. That's okay, I noticed just something else. There was a feather. Okay, yeah, it was a feather. It was a quill for writing, to be more precise. I was trying to stop that image. It's the first time I noticed it. So, yeah, I think this might be a representation of M, because she penned the stories, right? I don't think this is just a random lady. Otherwise, we wouldn't have that specific element. We could have seen the book, but then yeah, there's the quill there. Oh my god, that was nasty.
Nabir... No. This looks more like Rhinedottir's doing.
Okay.
Please don't litter other people's spaces with your bizarre creations.
Okay, so the other shades are already well acquainted with Rhinedottir, who devoured, as we found out relatively recently, because that information was already in Albedo's description. Yeah, they're already acquainted with her. I was wondering how long ago that actually took place, because we don't know if she time traveled or something. So I don't know if it was a long time ago that she devoured Naberius or not. But let's carry on.
Unsurprisingly, all life here has been rendered unstable, tainted by the ruler of space. I have seen enough to know that repeating this experiment would be fruitless.
Okay, so I don't know if you noticed, she has one eye of each eye with a different color, so probably represent one eye is Naberius, probably the icy one, and the golden one, Rhinedottir's. So we see here, so this was actually her creation. She used her creations in this space. I don't know who the space belonged to. Maybe it belonged to the shade of space or Renova's. But the thing is that she uses, she's always creating, right? From homunculus to beasts to what I think now is a representation of M. Reading the story of Teyvat in the orphanage of Khaenri'ahn. Probably. She was talking to the descenders. But yeah, my point here, Rhinedottir was probably she created this. She created this experiment, and from this instance, I've seen enough to know that repeating this experiment would be fruitless. Maybe she has already done it before. You know, maybe this is something, because we know that most likely what is happening in Teyvat right now is sort of a samsara, and I personally think, I might be wrong, of course, this is just an idea. I got it from when I played Simulanka. I think this Teyvat might be sort of an arena to train the traveler, or possibly other descenders if there is anyone else there, so they can actually defeat the heavenly principles. And until they are not strong enough or don't break the limitations that they have to in order to be able to defeat it, it will carry on. I think that maybe Rhinedottir is apparently somehow and to some extent involved in that, or she tried to do a little experiment of her own to match that one. Probably.
You seem to wield my power as if it were nothing but a plaything.
Oh, DNA symbols. Okay, this is like an alternate reality, like something similar to computers. It's what it looks like, but we have here DNA symbols. Maybe because they're the same being now. They're intertwined. Interesting.
For your amusement, although merging with you has stripped me of agency, I shall still continue to voice my disapproval. My dear Rhinedottir, you have my respect, Naberius.
She's still very
Your
cordial.
nagging is one of the only
Naberius.
things that can get under my skin.
She smiled. I mean, that's kind of cute. They kind of get along. Good for them.
And you, Istaroth, why did you bestow history upon them?
I had to
Wait.
find some way to pass the
This
I
is so
had to find
interesting.
some way to pass the time.
Istaroth, why did you bestow history upon...
This line. Why did you bestow history upon them? Who are they talking about? Are they talking about the twins, the travelers? Or are they talking about the people of Teyvat? Human beings? Oh, and before I forgot to mention, I also realized, and then I read about it, that the voice actors for both Venti and Istaroth are actually the same in all languages. So in English it's Erica, but in the other dubbings they share the same voice actor too. If it was just in one case, I would say, oh, it's just a coincidence. But like that, it's probably relevant because Venti was probably created due to her from that wisp of wind. But anyway, here what matters the most is the them. Is she talking about the twins, Teyvat? And what exactly does it mean to bestow history upon them? Okay, okay, I can't stop thinking about time. Did she rewind time? Is that what it means? Did Isroth bestow time so they can rewrite history? Might that be the meaning
them?
behind the words?
I had to find some way to pass the time, did I not?
And then we have here like the tiaras that are floating above her head. They're huge, and that kind of reminds me of the tiaras or the crowns that we see in those trees at the domains, at the several domains. I think it's similar, quite similar to them.
After all, it's clear that Asmoday is not here.
Okay, she's reversing
Well,
time.
perhaps you could share your input a little earlier next time. But you're right. There's no trace of Asmoday here. Where has she gone? Anyway, it's time I put this
That's such a
space out of
gloomy
its
image, by
misery.
the way. Bye bye. Turned into cubes and disappeared. Okay, so the shade of space Asmodee is missing.
These
Which is-
meetings are just a formality.
Okay, let's
Does it really matter that only 3 of us are here?
I, for one, think that we should find her. Since the heavenly principles cast us as shades, not one of us has ever missed a meeting.
What if she just switched sides? Finding her would do more harm than good. Now there's an interesting idea. Better than being devoured.
Okay, this is all very interesting. So first of all, we learned that this is the first time that Asmodee has missed one of their meetings since they were appointed or cast, as they say, which probably makes more sense because they might be shades. Since they're shades, they may be a part of the heavenly principles, like mere shadows that won't eventually join their true essence, maybe. But she is missing. And then Naberius, but this is the voice of Rhinedottir, as we know. she's smiling and she says that it's better than being devoured. Um, this could be like a little sort of joke in regards to the fact that she devoured Naberius. But the way she's speaking and the way she's smiling, she didn't need to make that joke openly if it was only to Naberius. It's like she's actually talking to all the shades and saying that by missing Asmoday is actually avoiding that fate of being devoured, because if they are the shades, they belong to something else. They're the shade of something. They're not the real entity. And when that entity, in this case of Genshin Impact, wakes up to heavenly principles, they will join him. They will be probably devoured. But that makes me think, why would Rhinedottir want to become one of the shades only to be devoured soon after, right? But she looks very tranquil. She's like a woman with a plan. She's probably trying to do an inside job. That's what you think.
Just switched sides? You make it sound like such a trivial affair. We are shades, shadows of the heavenly principles. It's
Exactly.
unthinkable. Unless she loves her new master more than her own self.
Okay, this is interesting too. She might love her new master more than herself. Let me just put it
Yes.
here in place.
She loves her new master more than her own self.
So, this, I know what most people are thinking. Asmoday is missing, and she, in this sentence, she loves, or she might love her new master more than her own self. I mean, it's not a stretch to think of Paimon. She kind of looks like a tiny version of uh the Shade of Space, Asmodee, and she follows the traveler everywhere. He could be considered like her master. But, I don't think that's actually it. If it is, I won't be disappointed. Honestly, I wouldn't mind that. But I don't think that's it, because it would be kind of obvious, because people are saying that from the beginning. When I first started playing the game, when I first started playing Genshin, like, I thought that because, first of all, it was very much in the beginning, and they kind of look alike. And she appeared out of nowhere. She was fished from a lake, so that's what I first thought. But now, I think that would be like too obvious. I mean, too logical. It would be too straightforward, so to speak. So I don't think that's it exactly. But who could her in this case, Asmodee's new master be? Is she serving the Abyss? Could she be serving, so to speak, the other twin? And then an interesting thing is that she smiles. She smirks. Rhinedottir smirks. One of the 5 sinners of Khaenri'ahn smirks. So maybe she knows what's going on. And if she knows what's going on, it could be related to Khaenri'ahn and the Abyss. Therefore, maybe we could be talking about the Abyss sibling. Maybe.
Renova, do you know that you're being watched? By whom? Whose gaze could pierce this far? I remember those eyes. It was just before I placed the curse of immortality.
So Renova is being watched by Pierro. And Istaroth notice it. So here she is casting the curse of immortality.
Ah, yes. He's an old acquaintance of mine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that working for the Tsaritsa has helped him let go of his past obsessions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, her smile.
The Cryo-Archon.
She knows a
With
lot
her
more
paltry powers, she
than she's
dares
letting
set her
on.
gaze on the heavenly principles.
The heavenly principles have yet to awaken.
Okay, yeah, here we have the confirmation that both the Tsaritsa is really intent on taking on the heavenly principles. That's why I don't think that the Tsaritsa and the Fatui are like the enemies. They do have an issue, or at least some of them have, because their means, they think the ending justifies the means, and that's wrong. But their intention is most likely not wrong. And yeah, here we have the confirmation that the heavenly principles have not yet awakened. So if anyone wants to act, now is the time, and Rhinedottir is definitely in favor of that.
If I were her, I wouldn't pass on that opportunity either. My dear Rhinedottir, you know I cannot allow you to think that way.
Because they serve the heavenly principles.
It was purely hypothetical, Naberius.
No, it was not. It was not hypothetical.
For lack of a direct order, I say it's time we intervened. Of course, to the extent permitted by the rules.
So what are they going to do? And here we have the Nod-Krai
The
section.
gaze of
Pierro.
the gods has always been considered a blessing. Hence the origin and meaning of visions. People have always yearned for the gaze of the gods. And yet, it is said that when mortals look directly upon the gods, they invite their wrath and retribution. And what of it? Lives will be lost, a nation brought to ruins. So be it. It is nothing I have not endured before.
Yeah, well, he was in Khaenri'ahn, so he knows what he's talking about. So I kind of think that Pierro here also kind of redefines visions in a slightly different way. It's like having them is like having the gaze of the gods. It's not, yeah, he's saying clearly that it's not a blessing. It's more like a curse because you gaze and then you have the retribution and people lose their lives. And in that case, in his case, Khaenri'ahn was destroyed. But it's like they have part of the gaze of the sight of gods. So maybe people who have visions, I don't want to say they are being controlled by the gods. That might be a possibility, but most likely they are being watched by the gods and probably have some limitations that if they stop following the plan, the gods will know and do something about it. So I just had I did a video about why Tartaglia has lost his vision, and maybe that was also the reason why, because he wasn't following the plans of the gods, and he was making his own path. But let's carry on.
I already know the price of gazing upon the gods.
Exactly.
So tell me, what is the price of killing a god? The god stays silent, as if the thought had never once crossed his mind.
So yeah, he wants to kill the heavenly principles. He wants to kill. He doesn't care about the price because he's already paid enough. He's got the immortality curse. He's wearing a mask because of the curse. His skin, his soul is being corrupted. Part of it is. He lost probably most people in Khaenri'ahn. The city was destroyed, the realm was destroyed, so he pretty much lost almost everything. So he doesn't mind defining a god. I mean, what else could be the price if you've already lost everything? right? And then he calls him arrogant, pretty much, because he says the thought that he may be killed has never once crossed his mind. So I think that's some powerful, not lore revealing, but it's a powerful line.
To all those who dare not look up to the heavens, Her Majesty the Tsaritsa says this. Behold. Even the gods have their limits.
And they do. And they do. They do. And that's why that story in the beginning, let me just see, we were here 8 minutes 19. The story kind of shows the limits, in this case, of each shade.
This world has always been
And that's
so.
why Renova destroyed
Life
that creation.
abides no reason, for none are born
The
by
story
their
is
own
showing
consent.
this story is showing their flaws.
Death abides no reason, for it cannot be defied,
And yet
even
it
by
was.
those who see it coming.
And life was
Time
devoured.
abides no reason, for it deprives us all equally, yet brooks not a second to be reclaimed. Space abides no reason.
Yeah, they didn't want her to continue because she was exposing most likely the flaws and the limitations of the gods and the shades.
Inspection over. Return to your posts.
Okay, we
Make
have
sure
here
the Frostmoon
soldiers,
Scions don't pose a threat.
Fatui soldiers.
Per the Pale Star Edict, we are to retrieve the damselette from Nod-Krai,
Okay,
whatever it
damselette,
takes.
yeah, we know. It's Columbina, so Columbina is gonna be Nod-Krai, but, hear me out!
Make sure the Frostmoon...
Per the
Hear me
Pale
out.
Star Edict, we are...
Why is she in a flower field of Teyvat?
Make sure the Frostmoon Scions don't pose a threat.
Which is the
Per
flower
the Pale...
of the twins that supposedly existed in their homeworld. And it's the Khaenri'ahn flower too. So if she is in Nod-Krai, why is she in a flower field of Teyvat? And then
Star
there's this
Edict, we are to
glitch.
retrieve the damselette from Nod...
Why is there a glitch? Is this like another situation that we have in the last Archon quest? Do you have like past and future converging in the same place? And she's in one of the timelines? And that's why we have sort of this glitch effect?
Scions don't pose a threat.
Per the Pale Star Edict,
Look at
we are
this.
to retrieve the damselette from Nod-Krai, whatever it takes.
So this is so much lore. Like we've met, so to speak, the 4 or 3 of the shades. They talk. We see them in their real forms. We have that beautiful animation in the beginning that it's like we can expect so much from there. That was created by Rhinedottir. That has another meaning. She wants to put that meaning out there. She wants to escape the guidelines that manage the way of intervening of all the shades, I think. So that's why it exists. And she's been probably experimenting, I don't know for how long, before she devoured Naberius. And now, as a shade, she has the opportunity to actually do an inside job. Then we have this part of the of Istaroth, the voice of Istaroth, but especially the line about Istaroth bestowing history upon them. Are those the twins? Are the humans, all the humans of Teyvat? Then we have here like the fact that this is the first time that Asmoday is missing, and she may have switched sides to help the Abyss, maybe. And then we have Pierro. Pierro's speech is Pierro, if you want, is quite powerful. But to be honest, I think what got a bigger reaction out of me in this whole trailer
Make sure the
was
Per
the
the Pale
fact
Star Edict, we are
that the damselette, that Columbina, is in a field of
to
Teyvat.
retrieve the damselette from Nod-Krai, whatever it takes.
Okay, so this is I've watched the trailer like a couple of times before, and now that I got some free time, I did this.
Voice my
So these
disapproval.
are my ideas, my first
dear
ideas,
Rhinedottir.
and
You have my respect, Naberius.
let's say theories, speculations that I could draw at at the first few sides out of this interlude. So I love that. I wasn't expecting. It's rich in lore. Finally, we're getting to that part of the story that we have a lore and more characters that have been important throughout the story, but now they're actually appearing, and that's super exciting. So that's it for now, at least. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to leave a like. Also comment. What do you think? Could they be talking about when they talk about the time? Are they talking about the twins? Are they talking about the fat? Do you think that the story in the beginning is actually this lady supposed to be M, and is she like reading the story for the descendants that arrived in Khaenri'ahn, that Khaenri'ahn summoned? Or I mean, this creation is supposed to reflect that. Do you think that? And seriously, what do you think about Columbina in the ending? What could the feel of Teyvat mean? Yeah, and then we have here, I think she's kind of a mole, Rhinedottir. And I've rambled enough, so do tell me what you think as well. This is Princess Farron signing out. Take care and good gaming. Bye bye.